My 2016 Charger Hellcat hasn't exactly had the easiest life. It was literally stolen twice and was probably beaten on pretty bad. But apparently this thing is a glutton for punishment as it runs and drives perfectly. The engine sounds amazing. And after a 2,000-mile trip home and many full throttle runs, it hasn't burned a drip of oil. And it's one of the highest horsepower stock Hellcats in the country, putting down almost 700 wheel horsepower. Is that normal?
That's actually the highest horsepower stock one we've had.
Now I have had to fix up some little issues like its super high intake air temps due to a dead intercooler pump. Someone put the wrong engine fan in it, so I replaced it with a proper Hellcat fan. And I was able to fix an airbag light for just a few bucks for a new connector. Naturally, my Hellcat got some of the LSC maintenance package as well, so it's all up to date. So I think it's only fair that the Hellcat now gets to retire peacefully. It'll be put away in a garage, rarely driven except for maybe beautiful Sunday afternoons for cars and coffee. I think that's the life that it deserves. Just kidding. We're totally throwing a table full of high performance parts at the Hellcat, so we're gonna add more fuel, more boost, and hopefully more power and more. This Hellcat, it ain't seen nothing yet. Can it do 800 wheel with this thing? Here we go! Before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm having a LegitStreetCars subscriber meet on November 2nd, 2024 at Fluid MotorUnion in Naperville, Illinois. I'll leave all the information down below and an RSVP form that you can fill out. Let me know how many people are coming and what kind of car you're bringing. On the last meet, we had over 1,000 people and like 500 cars. So I cannot wait to see all of you there. Now, to the Hellcat. Okay, so most everything on the table is performance related, except for the first thing we need to do, which is the thermostat. And we will be pulling the supercharger because a lot of you guys commented that this thing made way too much power for a stock Hellcat, and some people think the supercharger is ported. So we're gonna find out. It would be easier to replace the thermostat with this off, but I wanna replace this first because we need to get some before temperature readings for an experiment we're gonna be performing in this video with supercharger spacers and this thermal blanket. I'm not working on the lift today, so we're draining the coolant with a cut open coolant bottle and a little hose, whatever works. With the coolant drained, we can remove this clamp on the upper radiator hose, slide it on down, have a rag in here because we'll still probably lose some coolant. Hopefully not a lot. Hello, you're gonna drain out everywhere? Oh, there's coolant in the depths of this hose just waiting to make a mess. Oh, I can hear it. It's talking to me. I'm gonna make a mess if you don't tuck me away nicely. The hose was apparently made in England. Stay, hose. Stay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Stay right there. I don't trust this thing at all. It's getting bungeed. Bungified. That's a real word when you bungee something. Now we can 13 mil this thing off. Also a proper term in automotive speak. It's one of those, just 13 it off, boy. You know what I mean? Oh, we're getting coolant. No. I got a rag over the belt. We're gonna replace the belt anyway, so whatever. All right, thermostat housing off. Here is most likely our original thermostat. You may be pondering right now, Alex, why are you replacing this really nice looking thermostat? Well, it's not because it's stuck shut. That would cause the engine overheat. This is actually staying open too long, and I was getting a check engine light in emissions code, and in a lot of cases, you'll actually see your engine not heating up properly. This happens a lot on newer cars, especially when you change seasons. They're very sensitive to the temperature, and you just need to swap out the thermostat. So I got a new one from Mopar, not messing around, and it's gonna be the same like 200 degree thermostat or something. I don't care to go any colder. It's not gonna really add any power. It says right here it's a 203 degree thermostat, and if you have this little air bleeder thing, it's gotta be pointing up. That'll help bleed the cooling system. So I'll pop this guy in like so. Clean up the housing on my jeans. All right, make sure this thing is seated in there nicely. Then we have the housing going on, bolts going in, and just install in reverse order. This is super easy to do, guys. If you need to put a thermostat on your Hellcat, don't pay anyone. This will take you seriously 5 minutes. Well, draining the coolant took longer. It's time for our coolant tube to go back home. I cleaned up this housing a little bit as well. Gigantic hose clamp going on, and we're gonna lay it down perfectly like Mopar did right there, okay? Because I want to keep this thing, 100% perfect and original, even though it literally doesn't have a VIN tag. at all. And look at how nice of a job they did at removing the original VIN tag. They just put like this blank here. It's really sweet. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the car. I'd love to get plates that just say no VIN. All right, coolant is going back into the engine now, and we'll start warming this thing up for our test. Sounds so good. All right, we're gonna start the warming up process. Oh, the coolant's going nuts. And we'll gurgle down our coolant a little bit more. And we're gonna be using the infrared camera on the supercharger to test these things out. So excited about that. But first, we're gonna see how hot I am right now. How hot am I?
Oh, hot. Want to touch the hiney.
Am I still alive? What do I look like on this thing? Check it out, someone had already replaced the thermostat. It's possible that they put a lower degree thermostat in this car and then didn't tune for it, and that would throw things off for sure. It's also possible they were trying to get the engine fan to turn on. That was the wrong one for the car, because they were just chucking parts at it. While we wait for the engine to warm up, just a quick sneak peek. Look at my catch can, it's got my logo on it. And we have a smaller supercharger pulley. We're doing the air intake that I totally messed up in the last video. And place your guesses down below right now. How much wheel horsepower is this gonna make? It made 691 stock. All right, I bled the system. We're at 206 coolant temp. So we're at full operating temperature. I'm gonna take it out for a normal 10-minute ride. Then I'll let it idle for another 10 minutes. We'll get our baseline readings and then, you know, rip the blower off and add some stuff. I've been driving around for a few minutes, and I have to say temperature control is much better now. It's staying right at around 204 and 206. Before, it would take forever to heat up, and once it finally did, it would be at like 185. And I know a lot of guys think that lower thermostats make more power. Back in the day, when they were running coolant through the intake manifold, you might see a tiny increase in horsepower, but everything is divorced and separated with this system. So we want the engine to be warmer, or just what it was designed to run at, operating temperature to be efficient, but we want the blower to be cooler. So hopefully that's what the spacers will do. While the car's running, I just wanted to show you the trouble codes that you'll get if your thermostat's not operating properly. So I've connected my Carly OBD diagnostic and coding tool, and all you do is connect it with Carly's free app. This is a very powerful tool. We'll hit diagnosis and check for issues, and now it's gonna scan all the control units on my Hellcat. Oh, the issues are piling up, people. On some of these new cars, it just flies by. Diagnostic complete, and here's what we're looking for. Coolant temp below thermostat regulating temperature. This is gonna be basically the same code you'll see on any car, especially at the change of the season. This can really pop up. And this is one of the many reasons I love Carly, because you don't have to be a professional mechanic to understand what's going on with your car. So this is running the code through Google, so you'll learn a lot about how this all works. And then since we already fixed the thermostat, we can go ahead and clear out the issues, and this will erase your trouble code. If you go to a shop to have your check engine light diagnosed, in some areas it can cost around $200. And with Carly, you can do it yourself in just a few minutes, and then you can reuse this over and over again for the rest of time. And you can use it to scan other people's cars as well and save everybody a lot of money. There we go. We've cleared out the code, and we have no more check engine light. Coolant temp looking good. And this is really neat, the emissions check. This is fantastic if you live in a state that has emissions, because even though you don't have a check engine light, you still might fail because everything is not complete. So we have, in this case, the evap system is incomplete, and that's normal after you clear codes. This thing checked everything else off pretty quick. But in a lot of states, if you have 1 or 2 incomplete, you will fail. So instead of waiting in line forever just to find out you failed and you needed to drive the car longer, hook up Carly. And check this out, you can pick a bunch of live things to monitor. I mean, look at the list, it's insane. Just curious, what's our cat temp right now? 508 degrees. That's so cool, guys. Now I'm gonna leave you guys a link down below and a coupon code. It's LEGIT24 for a limited time. This is gonna get you 15% off your very own Carly OBD diagnostic and coding tool. And definitely check out the site, because on some cars, this can do some really neat convenience feature coding. I've shown this in the past, but if you guys have active exhaust, you can control that right from your phone. Some cars are annoying, and their one touch for the windows doesn't work if your door is open. You can code that out. You can even code a factory lap timer into your cluster. The options for coding are seriously endless on some cars, so check out the site. And if you want to use the free app, that will cover scanning for codes, clearing them. All that is totally free. But if you want to code and use some of its advanced features, there is a subscription. So either way, check out the link down below, LEGIT24, save yourself some money. Now let's go check some temps. Hellcat's back in the shop, so I'm starting a 10-minute timer. Hood closed. As soon as this is up, I'll pop the hood and we'll measure some temperatures before. Our 10 minutes is almost up. We're still at 206 engine coolant temp. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look at that, our hood pops automatically at my command. All right, so let's take some temperature readings. I'm gonna put some X's down in various spots so we test everything the same way. Make really sloppy X's, apparently. Let's do one here. We'll get the back of the lid as well. And I wanna get really close to the cylinder head, so I'll make an X down here. All right, I think that's good. Let's test. We're gonna go to our first X. And I'd say we're right around 140 to 145 is our range at the first X. Second X down there, about 182. And we have an X right there, 168. Back of the blower lid, I'd say we're at 159. And down here should be the hottest, 192, 193, something like that. Actually, the hottest area is the valve cover at 206, but we don't care about that right now. I'll write those down. We have the footage to back it up. Well, first let this thing cool down with a fan and then we'll rip the blower off. All right, the blower is nice and cool-ish right now, enough for us to work with. So we're gonna go ahead and remove or loosen some of this cowl. We're gonna take out the clips here. We loosen up the cowl so we can get the strut tower brace out. 2 bolts on each side, just like that. So there's a lot of other stuff attached to this, but I think we're good. As long as we're loosened up a little bit, we'll have room to get the blower out. All right, guys, I just pulled the fuel pump fuse because we need to bleed the fuel pressure. That won't even start, so. Stop. Okay, stop. Oh my God. Are you serious? Jeez, this thing cranks forever. I was trying to stop it from cranking. It's crazy. Okay, well, it's definitely bled now. Now, the reason I did that is because I want to remove the fuel rail. And I don't want to lose any fuel out of the injectors and get gas all over the engine. And now we can pull the injectors up. There we are. And there's a rubber line in the back that connects the 2 rails, so we have a little bit of flexibility here, which is nice. I disconnected the injectors, and now we can just go like that. It's really nice, super easy to replace your Hellcat injectors. Now we have a ton of connectors to disconnect, like that one. Our mass airflow sensor. We have some PCV stuff going on. I think this is PCV. And we'll take our intake off. We are gonna be installing a new intake that I was gonna install in the last video, and I totally stripped out the threads for the mass airflow sensor. My fault, my fault. Take full responsibility for that mess up. Airbox coming off. There we go. Okay, that's gone. Here's our nice K&N. We can leave that for now. More connectors. They're everywhere. Get this clip out of the way. There are so many connectors for stuff. This is a modern car, though, after all. It's normal. We have some PCV stuff to remove, too. Yes, got it. And that's out. I'm excited to see this is ported, but it was so funny. In one of the videos, someone claimed to be the original owner, and they said that they put a cam in here, and they put rocker arms in it, and also drilled out the fuel injectors. And so many people, like dozens of people, believed this, and like were responding like, Alex, see, it's not stock. This guy said he did all this stuff. Guys, you can't drill out fuel injectors. No one does rocker arms on this. This guy totally just, he was trolling. That's all it was. It was not the original owner. I even commented back. I'm like, email me. He never did. He disappeared. There's trolls out there, people. You can't believe everything. We're gonna clamp off the hoses for the intercooler system so they don't leak everywhere. And it's because we have to disconnect the hoses in order to remove the supercharger. All right, so we're gonna pull this and then try and be quick about it. Yes, with a plug there. All right, so that's plugged off and this isn't leaking, that's great. We're gonna get the supercharger belt off now. I'll slide off this lower idler pretty easily. We can loosen it. We're replacing this anyway. I gotta say, having this out of the way would be nice. So after disconnecting all that and the belt, we just have a bunch of 10 mils. And we're gonna take the blower off with the lid. We'll separate that later. Oh, that stinks. Okay, ratcheting 10 for the win here. Okay, if we lift this up, oh, come on, this one 10 mil, really, come on. No! All right. I'm gonna leave that one in there, so I don't feel like taking the entire cowl apart. We'll remove all of these. I'll just have to lift that bolt up. Oh, did I miss a bolt? Jeez. I mean, I know this thing probably weighs like 400 pounds, but come on. The gasket might be stuck a little. Oh yeah, it's moving. Just barely. All right, after a bunch of this, I've broken it loose. It's probably just stuck on a dowel. This thing is heavy, guys. All right, guys, this is the bodybuilding championship of the world now, getting the Hellcat blower out. This definitely is not a one-man job. You should probably just get a cherry picker, but my back is young and needs to be messed up. For scientific reasons? I don't know. Oh my gosh, this thing is big.
That's what she.
I mean, I can lift it. I can give it a shimmy. Okay, so we're gonna put the blower snout on the old knee there. There's another connector. Okay. Oh, what is that? Ugh. Oh, what in the world? Do we have rodent stuff going on here? There's like a letter. Huh. Okay. I don't think this blower's ever been off, guys. I really don't think this thing was ported or anything at all. I got it. No problem. Hold on, need a break. Gotta reevaluate. Yep, I got it. No problem. Woo! Okay. Well, I was able to confirm for you guys. One guy can take the Hellcat blower, off. Although I don't think I'm gonna put it on that way because I'm gonna destroy the gasket. But if you're in a pinch and it's late night, you can do it by yourself. Just get it off. Look at how big this is. Can you imagine one of these on an LS? That'd be pretty cool. So here's what's underneath the blower. The orange valve covers match the orange block. That is all factory. And yeah, I mean, I'd venture to say this has never been off. The car has 73,000 miles. It's pretty dirty under here. Look at these gigantic valves. That is so cool. These are not direct injected, so they always look brand new, shiny and clean. Something that's interesting is the guys at Forced Induction Interchillers who sent me out the spacers for the blower. They say that there is an oil leak right here, and we can definitely see a little bit of oil there. And so what they say happens is that because this part of the gasket doesn't have any aluminum backing, it can leak, and you'll actually get a boost leak into the crankcase, so you'll have less boost. And so with their spacers, as you can see, that seal, has a backing all the way around, and it's supposed to fix a minor boost leak. I don't think my car had a boost leak, but if you have one that you can't find, it could be that. It's pretty sweet. These things replace the actual blower gaskets as well. This is nice. I definitely want to do a little bit of cleaning up in here, so we're gonna start off with some vacuuming, get all the big chunks out, and now I'm just simply wiping down the mating surface. And just to get this extra clean, I'm gonna use the white brush, and we're going very slow, almost no pressure. Use the white one, it's the softest one. Don't use the green or the red on aluminum, you could gouge it. Honestly, you can do this by hand as well and use a little bit of brake clean and a rag. But anyway, here it is all cleaned up, and I gotta clean up some of this orange that no one is ever gonna see. Just giving it a nice spray down, a little bit of a wipe, and here it is all cleaned up, ready for the blower. So while we work on the supercharger, let's just put my favorite bed sheet on the engine. This isn't that dirty. Like, I could totally clean this and still use it. It's good. It's got good car smells. All right, let's bring this to a table that's not about to collapse on us. You don't want to work on plastic tables with things that weigh like 400 pounds. Oh, why is this table so much taller than the other one? Oh, get my workout in. Whew, all right. Let's take the lid off. All right, there's a ton of T30s for the lid. Let's see, will this lid just come up? Oh, cracked it loose. There we go. Okay. Just had to pry it from the bypass valve, which is this valve right here. This is what would bypass the boost. So if the engine's computer detects an overboost situation or a really lean air fuel, it can just bleed off the boost. The heart of the beast right here. Look at these rotors. It's great. So right now we're taking this apart because we need to remove the snout in order to replace the pulley here. So it's not just a simple nut and the pulley comes off. And we're removing this. It has a seal right here just because it'll make it easier for us to get to that bolt. Now we just have some 13 mils to get the snout off. All right, it's on a dowel. Just kind of shaking it loose right now. There we go. Get off the dowel. There we are. Okay. She's off. Here's the inside of the snout. So that's that. And this is a gasket that actually does set the depth as well. So in order to increase the factory boost pressure from roughly 11 PSI, like 10 or 11 PSI to 14, we're gonna be running a 2.86 inch blower. And this is from my friends at Satera Tuning in Hampshire, Illinois. That's who will be tuning this car. They are the best in the country at the Hellcats. So first step here, we're just gonna remove these screws and we'll slide this out like so. So now with their kit, we can do quick swap pulley changes. It just slides right off. Okay, just taking this out so we can remove this bolt, just getting in my way. And now we can put this down flat. This is a grease cap on the factory pulley. We're literally just poking a hole in it. Hang on, we need to get a little bit more violent. Get out of here, grease cap. We need to pry this thing out of the way. There we go. Okay. The reason we took the grease cap off is to fit this special tool. This would be a gigantic Allen, which I can't find anywhere. But with that, we can then fit a 24 on here. But if we just spin this right now, it's gonna free spin. So for that, there is a special tool to hold this assembly. And it fits in like that. And then they give you a bolt and some washers and a nut for the back here. So we'll snug this in. And so now this will hold the shaft so we can remove this pulley. That is a beast to get off. So now what we just did there is remove the factory supercharger pulley that is threaded onto the shaft. Now, even though we were able to get the pulley off with the impact, it's gonna be a pain to torque, and they give you this little ear on the tool, I believe, for a vise. It seems to fit in here nicely. So now we're being held together by the old 100-year-old vise. Before we go back together with the pulley from Satera, we're gonna add a little blue Loctite. And they say about 90% of the Hellcats will require this spacer that they include in the kit. So we'll install that there. Then we're gonna thread this part on, and every car is a little bit different, so we'll take a measurement after we torque this, but put it on by hand until it stops up against that spacer. And now this accepts a 22mm socket, and we'll torque it to 65. So you can see in here where we put the socket, and this is the measurement we need to take now, which is the distance from the snout to our new pulley. This should be 2mm. And to make this easy, and in case you don't have a digital caliper, you can take something like a 2mm Allen. Yep, there we go. And then you're using this like a feeler gauge, and this is perfect. It slides in there, not too loose, not too tight. We have 2mm of clearance. We're ready for the next step. Before we get the pulley on, we just have a little dust/grease cap to pop on. As soon as it's flush, you're done, and you can install this. Something really neat about this pulley is that it'll only spin the rotors one way. So this is actually going the opposite way. It'll free spin and not spin the rotors of the supercharger, only in this way. Well, right now we got it blocked up with a tool, but only this way will it spin the rotors and make boost. So this just slides right on like that, and we'll line up the holes. A little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts. We'll thread all these in by hand. They get torqued to 15 foot-pounds. We got our baby quarter drive on there for some clicks. Oh, so satisfying. Is there anything more satisfying than torque wrench clicks? All right, something else I want to show you is on this side, and it's this bolt right here. Sometimes this can loosen up, and that would be a big issue. You'd have some serious issues with your supercharger. So what we want to do is check the torque spec of this, but we also need to hold it, and this is a 15mm, and it just needs to be drilled out a little bit more for you to do this check. So we're gonna have to modify the tool. My stepper bit's the only one big enough to do this. This is gonna take a while. This is a very strong tool, so that drill bit stands no chance. I have to use the die grinder here. It is so close too. There should be enough. Let's give it a try. Oh, perfect. Now with the tool back on the snout, we'll get it right back on the vise. Okay, snugged up. Now we can check. We'll get our torque wrench on there. Okay, I have this set to 60 foot-pounds and it's good. The spec is actually 55, so this is perfect. Before we reinstall the snout, I want to reseal the entire supercharger. So I went to Dodge and spent about $325 on a master reseal kit. So we have every seal and every gasket. Oh, and we can tell that the snout has not been ported. That is a popular mod on the Hellcats, but you would see these casting marks would be all shiny and removed. This is all 100% factory, and I don't see anything yet in here, but let's disassemble. We're gonna start by removing the crossover in the back here for the intercoolers. Looks like 2 bolts on this side, 2 bolts on this side. To give this a little pry. There we are. We're gonna lose a little bit of coolant here, that's normal. To pull the intercooler cores, we have a rail with 3 T25s. Pry these up, and we actually have new rails from Dodge. They do have a seal here. We can pull it up from this end gently and slide it right out. And that way we can replace these seals as well. And we can tell this is a 100% stock blower. Nothing has been ported at all anywhere. We still have all of the original casting. So stock, non-red eye, regular Hellcat blower. This car put down 691 wheel on a dyno that's used literally daily for Hellcats. They've had hundreds, maybe thousands on there. So it's just a factory freak. We're gonna replace the lid gasket as well. Do a little bit of house cleaning inside too. Just a little bit of carbon in here we can take care of. So we went from something that looked like this to this, much cleaner. So obviously compressed boosted air goes through the intercooler to get cooled off before it actually makes it into the engine. And a catch can is gonna help out with a little bit of this carbon and this oil that gets in there. It's gonna catch it before it'll get sucked up in the engine. So I do like running catch cans on a lot of boosted vehicles because they are extra sensitive to the spark plugs getting all sooted up from oil and vapors from the crankcase. While we're cleaning the blower, we'll degrease the core as well. We want maximum flow. The air is literally flowing through this. And I'm just gonna rinse these out with water from the hose. I'm not gonna use high pressure water. We don't wanna risk bending any of these fins. While we're cleaning everything, we're gonna wanna clean up the bores where the fuel injectors sit. They can get a little grimy. I can't tell you how many times I've used this kit. It made its original debut like 5 or 6 years ago in one of my diesel videos where I was replacing the fuel injectors. It's actually a diesel injector seat cleaning kit. I'll leave a link down below to Amazon, but this thing is awesome. You wanna be really gentle with something like this. So a little bit of brake clean. This comes with a bunch of Q-tips. That's all we're gonna use here. We don't wanna rough up this surface. We wanna just clean it up. And look at that, ew. And then what's great is if the Q-tip isn't totally dirty, you can just stick it in your ear and clean out your ear with it. Just kidding, it's a new Q-tip. Here's the old one, don't do that. God, I hope no one paused the video right there to do that. That would stink. So we started with an injector seat that looked like that. And if we scooch right on over, now we have one that looks like that with no grinding, no wire wheel. We have 3 O-rings right here. So we're gonna pluck these out. And everything, by the way, seems to be in really good condition. Like, we could most likely get away with just putting this all back together with the old seals. A lot of people do that, but you know, while we're in there. So far, the Hellcat's been good to me, so we're gonna be good to it. You know, we're gonna use some Mercedes-Benz sunroof grease on every new seal that's going in. That is gonna give it probably a 10 horsepower bump. And if you're new to the channel, I'm kidding. This is just like a running joke here that I use this exact tub of Mercedes-Benz sunroof grease. I've been using it for like the last, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. It never runs out. It's just bottomless. All right, we have new O-rings here for the crossover tube getting lightly lubricated. Slide it in there. This is a satisfying thing to do. Slide in new seals. These seals here are perfectly fine, but they're in the kit, so why not? Slide these blue guys off. And a couple blue new seals going back in. Very nice. Now each end of the intercooler gets a new one of these, and we're gonna lose a little bit of coolant, but we'll slide these guys in, push it down. And I did blow this out with some air as well. You don't want any water in here. We have new intercooler rails with the integrated seals. So this only fits on one way. You can't mess this up. So this part is actually an isolator bar. So those seals don't actually seal air. They just want a little bit of a cushion to hold these down. Going very gentle with these. They're only held in with 58 inch-pounds. So that is like 4.5 foot-pounds. There we go. Very little. All right, crossover tube is going back on. Oh, feels great. And then we just have our 4 bolts. We're almost ready for the snout. Let's just replace this gasket. Pull the old one off. I did measure, these are the exact same thickness. And orange side going this way. And we have dowels that will hold this in as well. I just degreased the top of the blower snout. This is the part that you'll see. I cleaned up the bottom as well. And this is what our throttle blade looks like with no cleaning whatsoever. It's perfect. In the kit from Dodge, they gave us new snout bolts. So while we install the snout, we have to line these up and the dowels all at the same time, but you can see in here. Shimmy sham. All right, shoes on, time for some bolts. Definitely do not let go until you thread some of these in. You don't want this thing falling. Use the gun on the lowest setting to snug these up. And we're torquing these to 26 foot-pounds. I'm gonna reinstall the intake air temperature sensor. Kind of swings in there. And we have our one little screw. The adapter for the bypass valve gets a new seal as well. This has a little notch in here, so this only goes on one way, like so, and then we'll push it in. Next, we have this gigantic donut seal. And if you guys have watched my E55 videos, you know this is a big leak area. The M113K cars are much older than the Hellcat, but these can get rock hard and cause a ton of air leaks. This one's good though, but it came in the kit, so here we go. Brand new. This only goes on one way. You'll notice that the holes won't line up any other way but that. And then we have our 3 bolts. It's only 7 foot-pounds for these, so don't go crazy with the old gun. Very little torque, guys. Might feel a little unnatural, but that's all it needs. Let's do the throttle body gasket too, even though it's definitely not leaking. All right, there we are. Yeah, there's usually never a reason to replace these. This is in excellent shape. But I love my Hellcat. So I'm gonna do it anyway. I was actually pretty lucky to find this complete reseal kit. The guy at the dealer's like, I can't believe we still have this. And individually, like these seals are on back order. A lot of them are, so I got lucky. Here's our new one. And we'll give this a little wipe out from the inside. Look at how clean the throttle body is on the backside. Really don't even need to do that. I wonder if someone had cleaned this already. This thing was dealer maintained for quite some time, and he did buy like all the fuel flushes and induction services, so that could be it. You know, then it was stolen for 21,000 miles, but that guy still maintained it too. He was changing the oil and everything, so that doesn't make any sense. But thank you, dude, that stole my Hellcat for taking care of it. Little clicks for the throttle body. We have 2 seals left. I've already replaced all these little blade seals. This is the bypass, and there's another seal in here. So many seals. But honestly, so few issues with these. Yeah, these modern gaskets are good. Oh, look at that. There's kind of some issues here. Maybe I spoke too soon. We're not having any leaks or anything. The car runs perfectly, but this is a little flattened out. Okay, glad I'm doing this. You can see it's kind of twisted there, but it's still sticking out enough to seal, but we don't want that. Maybe this thing couldn't bypass all the boost and it was just running too much boost, and that's why it's a factory freak. Except I was measuring boost. I even tried it out on the highway. We get 10 PSI, and I think a stock Hellcat Max does 11, so we're actually like technically low on boost. New seal is on. This looks much better. Bypass valve going back, 4 bolts. You guys know the deal. Zip, 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 click, click, click. We're down to our last gasket, the lid gasket. Wonderful, wonderful lid gasket. You're so nice. We'll never see you again. Make sure these little blade seals are on. Clean the inside of this, not that it was really dirty at all. And here we go, here we go. It's almost a Hellcat again. So I'll shimmy sham this into the donut. All right, this isn't pushed down all the way, but I wanna make sure that the gasket doesn't slide in. So I'm gonna install some of these bolts to hold it, and then we'll give it a final beat down. All the bolts are threaded in, just a couple of threads. Now we'll beat on this like a gorilla. Okay, it's going down. Gonna rock this back and forth until it slides into that donut. It's going down slowly but surely. Or love taps, gorilla taps, and they go. We're good. Cool. All right, I'm gonna tighten up, about 400 bolts. With those zip zam zooed, we can do some clicky zip zam zoos. Last one. She's ready to purr. That's what I think of every time I see the Hellcat symbol. Just a little. Everything is torqued and cleaned up. This guy is ready. But something I'm not looking forward to at all are the spark plugs. I think this pays like 4 hours, and there are 16 of them. 2 plugs per cylinder. Like my M113 K-powered E55 wagon, this has 2 plugs per cylinder as well. But once the intakes are out of the way, you can do these in like 20 minutes. Super easy. And if you guys are new to the channel, this is my Whipple wagon. It is an absolute monster, and it looks fairly decent as well. A swivel is gonna be my friend here on getting any of this stuff out. I definitely don't want to drop any of these bolts. Got that one. And I got that one too. Cool. Let's pop this thing up. How do you get the coil out? And there's a connector down there too that I can't even see. But these are very flexible. I'm gonna see here. Can we just leave these coils down here in the abyss? Yeah, these are highly flexible. Look at that. All right, let's do that. Sweet. Cheat code. All right, put together this contraption. We have multiple wobbles, and we're gonna go in between some lines here and see what we can do. Or at least in a spark plug. Curious to see if these are original, and we're scoping. We have to see inside this engine. Watch, it has like aftermarket forged pistons. First spark plug, what do we got? We have a Bosch Iridium plug. I don't think this is factory. It looks really nice. Going in with the old borescope. What lies beneath the depths? The Hellcat engine. Looks very normal. Look at the cylinders. Cross hatching looks awesome. Little bit of carbon. Nothing weird. No real oil buildup or anything. That's good. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, are you guys watching? I meant I like it a lot. Indubitably. 2 plugs per cylinder. You can tell Dodge, Chrysler, or whatever, and Mercedes were teamed up in this era. What year did that run from? Where Mercedes owned Chrysler. Was it officially over by the time the Hellcats came out? I don't even know. Now it's Stellantis. They're doing a fine job. All right, anyway, yeah, another good looking plug. We're gonna run a new factory spark plug, but we're gonna change up the gap. If you're running more boost than stock, you usually wanna tighten up the gap because you can get what's called spark blowout, where just like a candle at your birthday party, the spark just blows out with the increase of boost, and tightening the gap will reduce that. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna go with 28 thousandths. And you guys have seen me use this tool before. It's pretty cool. It just tightens down on the plug. And before you actually start tightening up the gap, I like to stick a feeler gauge in there so you know when to stop. It'll just stop automatically. We're shooting for 28 thousandths, but put a smaller feeler gauge in there because there's a little bit of spring back. And then you're just gonna tighten this until it stops. And right there, we don't have to go crazy. Basically, once you can't get this out, you're good. Then we'll loosen it up. That'll fall to the ground on top of a cluster of your LS Swap 911 engine harness that you didn't need next to your, Eclipse and newer GTR seats for my GTR. Anyway, and then we'll pop it out. I had to put a couple feeler gauges together to get 28 thousandths, but there we are. We are gapped. This car is it's ready to gap everything. I wonder if the E55 would gap the Hellcat or the C63, not the Lightning. That doesn't run. Actually, I think that car would beat all of these cars. I think that's a 9-second car. With our freshly gapped spark plug, we can go back in. These do not have a little crush washer. They're a tapered seal. So we'll bring it in until it stops, very low pressure. And so with it bottomed out, you'll need about like 1/8 of a ton, and you're seated. That's it. All right, so I'm gonna do that a lot more times, roughly 15 more times. I got all the spark plugs out, and I know these look dirty, but this is what used spark plugs look like. These might have 30, 40,000 miles. Hellcat guys, let me know. Did they run these factory? They could have. These could be original. But the most important thing is that these are all done. And I will say this, a little hack here is to never even unplug the coil or remove it. Just flip it like I did on both sides. There's only one over here that you can fully take out, but there's no reason to. And, it still takes about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, something like that, to do the plugs, but not the end of the world. They're all done. The blower's about to go on, but before that, and with the spacers comes a thermal blanket. I just had to kind of cut it to shape. It was pretty easy. But there are some vent holes on this supercharger right here and right here. And we don't want to block those off. So with a Sharpie, we'll mark them and we will drill them. Hole punch would work too, but that's what I got. I gotta say, this is some very strong material. It's super thick. This is great. We're gonna wanna clean the bottom of this up so it sticks. And we need to clean up our mating surface a little bit more. This has an adhesive backing, so you're gonna peel this off like so. So the idea here is that we're going to separate out the heat from the engine block to the supercharger. I won't have any data at all to prove that this works, but there are manufacturers that use this a lot in exhaust systems and stuff to block heat, from getting to areas like the floor or to sensitive parts of the drivetrain that they don't want to heat up. And it seems to work for them. And this seems to be really good quality. We'll say that. And it sticks on really well too. Like that is never going anywhere. All right. I like it. The spacers from forced induction interchillers are very thick, and they're eliminating that stock gasket like I showed you before. They come with little clips here. They do claim that you'll gain horsepower with these, but I will have no way of testing since we're doing other mods at the same time. But the changing of the pulley won't affect our test for the blower temperature. Now this side's weird. It has dowels on the blower. The other side doesn't. Clips. We have gaskets. We have thermal blanket. We have a smaller pulley. Everything's resealed. It's clean. Let's do this. You know what I think is going to make this install a lot easier is if we just don't have the injectors. So I've pulled the rest of them. It's really easy to do. It's just a click here and they pull right out. Well, maybe a little twist. There we go. Okay. So last one is out. We are putting 1300cc injectors in here, but we're going to do that after the blower is in. I just need as much room as possible to finagle. This thing's pretty light. Just lift, with the back, legs, back, same thing. I'm going to say with another person. It's not that bad. What you're looking at there, Max, is the bottom. Hang on. Nope, not that way, though. So here's what I'm thinking. This lower pulley and the throttle body are a good front handle, and this is a good back handle. So what if I get in there with the back, and you get in with these two, and then we basically just have to drop it down gently while losing coolant all over the place, and then we should be good. Cool? Yeah. Just a nice lowering with a little scooch there. It's going to be more of like a hover. Got it. Before we go too crazy, we have to get this really long bolt in. Like that. Plugging in 2 connectors right now. Yep. Got that. So now, with that bolt in, we're both just going to kind of lift, cut, slide it back. Nice. Okay, yeah, we're lined up. And of course, that bolt's going to pain in the butt. Always is. Guys, I recommend you just take the wipers out and the cowl. I cannot find my little wiper popper tool thingy. I'll leave a link, though, so you guys can get one. They're awesome. Very convenient. There's that. We might as well make that one the first one to start. I'm using longer bolts since we have the spacers, so I installed some washers. And in they go. Say it again, guys. Just take the cowl out. Take the towel out. It's not worth it. It's one bolt. So we're going to torque this down to 4, and then 11, and then 22. We're going to just kind of crisscross it a little bit. With the blower torqued, it is time for our fuel injector connection 1300cc fuel injectors. They come with the adapters already on there. Really nice. And I'll leave a link down below and a coupon code for legit10 if you guys need injectors. You'll get 10% off. First step, of course, MB center of grease. And then we're just going to slide it in like so. Then we're just going to use the factory clip. There's a little groove on the injector like that. Not going anywhere. We're good. 7 more to go. With all the injectors installed, we're just going to push them all in at the exact same time simultaneously. I still can't say that word. Simultaneously? Simultaneously. I did it. That's how you talk. Yes. Like that. See how they all went in at the same time, simultaneously. And then we just plug in each injector. Good clicks. I was really excited to put this really cool green belt on from Gates, but with the spacer, we actually are going to end up wanting to use the factory size belt. So let's see if this fits. Like that, and we'll release tension there. Oh yeah, this is perfect, and it's right in the middle of the travel and the tensioner. So you don't need to replace your belt if you do the smaller pulley, but you add the spacers. So now I'm gonna go around and just start clicking some stuff in. We have almost everything reconnected. We have to install a catch can, but I want to start the bleeding process for the intercooler. So I've reconnected the hoses, and we're putting the pink stuff in to the reservoir. Glug, 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 filling up those intercoolers. Went ahead with the laptop and turned on the intercooler pump. Oh, I can hear it gurgling through. I think it's going down a little bit. It's flowing, and there's a bleeder right there to get the air out. That's the highest spot, so we'll crack that. And yep, we got fluid coming. A little top off. You got some cooling to do because of this guy. All right, so we're gonna go back together with the stock airbox right now, and we're gonna try a couple different airboxes. There's actually one airbox on the dyno and a velocity stack. And we'll slide this over to throttle body. Click that in, push that in, and we have PCV. Oh, speaking of that, let's get a catch can in here. So this is a Billet Evolution catch can, and it's made right in-house at Satera Tuning. They do the pulleys in-house and some valve covers as well. So pretty neat, and they were able to laser my logo right onto the catch can. So it's custom for me. Super easy installation. We just have to replace this bolt with a longer one. So I'll pull this bolt out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and click in this one here, and they both go behind the bracket. This one is gonna click into the valve cover. Like that. And we're gonna get our longer bolt in down here. And the ratcheting 13 really helps out with this too. Click. This hose gets routed like this. I had to take it off again because it wasn't fitting. So that is the proper way. Click. Bam. It's like factory. Factory legit street car. I'm gonna reinstall our brace. Just like that. Oh, there he is. Sweet. Not bad. I buttoned up the cowl, and now we're working on tuning. So I'm receiving a file from Satera Tuning right now, and we're using this RTD from HP Tuners. It's actually the same exact one that came with my Magnuson supercharger kit for the Escalade a few years back. So this is basically a Bluetooth dongle, and then you can register with a tuner. They can upload a file for you, and then it just zips in there through the airwaves, and you use your cell phone with the app to install it on your car. And there it goes. Okay, so now if I click on Hellcat, it says I have 2 new files. Oh, here we go. LegitStreetCars Hellcat. That's you, right?
There you go.
Awesome. All right. So I got Jeremy from Satera on the phone right now. This is so cool using that Bluetooth TDN or RTD or whatever from HP Tuners. He's able to upload a file since we're like linked up now. And now I can zip it into the car. Look at this. This is so nice. So I'm just going to click right. Please press the sync. Okay, so now we'll sync. All right, Jeremy, while I get you on the phone, we got dyno day tomorrow. What's your guess?
I'm going to guess she's going to make 785 to the wheels.
Ooh. All right, that's pretty good. That'd be like 100 horsepower gain. We did 691 last time. You know what? I'm going to go for the gold. I'm always super optimistic and sometimes many times wrong. I'm going 800 because we got a factory freak on our hands. Oh, and then we get to test out the velocity stack too, right?
Yes, correct. We will have one on standby to test out as well.
Very nice, very nice. I'm excited, man. I'm zipping this in right now, and awesome. I'll see you in the morning.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Thanks, brother.
Thank
All right, back. Jeremy's awesome. All right, so we are uploading. This takes a few minutes. Actually, we just synced up, so now we can write the tune. Okay. And I do have a battery charger connected, especially on these newer cars. You definitely want to do that because these tunes sometimes can take, 5-10 minutes, and these things have a bajillion electronics draining the battery. The last thing you want is like 9-10 volts when you're writing a file, and then it stops and you fried your engine computer, and then it's over for you. It's just over. Never mind, I just resynced. Right now, we are writing the file, so it's gonna erase and write. Oh, it's only 1 minute, not bad. All right, let's clean it up. Turn off ignition. Ignition coming back on. We'll hit done. Now it's writing the transmission as well. So another minute. Now we are complete. Okay, sweet. Yes, all right, fuel head to cycle. She's alive. All right. Clean it up. It was running rough there for a second, but we're good. Belt is looking good. Engine sounds fantastic. Okay. Good deal. It always sounds good back here. I'm recording a log right now, but it looks like Jeremy got this spot on. Air fuel is looking really good. I've learned that that's what these things run. Their stoichiometric is like 13.8-ish instead of 14.7. That's just how the Hellcats are. I'd never seen that before. Check it out. We can stop a data log. And right now I'm syncing so that Jeremy can see it. And there it is. New log, upload. And now he'll be able to view that and send changes. Check engine lights just for all sorts of things we had disconnected. No big deal. All right, this thing is running so good on a bass tune. We are done here. Tomorrow morning is tune day. I'll see you then. It's the next morning. The Hellcat's running perfectly. It's a beautiful day and we're almost at Satera in the middle of the country out here in Hampshire, Illinois. I don't know if you guys can see it with the sun there, but it says Hampshire right there. So I've driven 40, 50 miles. Air fuel is perfect. Jeremy's bass tune is almost too good. I'm so tempted to beat on it, but I'm so close to being able to beat on it because we're here. We're here. Hey, there's Jeremy. I love this place. I moved over next to the Lincoln LSC so they can shuffle some cars around, but I'm gonna let this idle now for 10 minutes so we can duplicate our test with the infrared camera and take our measurements. So I will shut the hood for now and we'll wait 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes, let's check. So here's our first X, 140 to 145, and we're gonna do the same test right now. Same exact X. Wow, actually really surprised. That is a massive difference. 100? Seriously? Yeah, that's the exact same spot. X marks the spot. Where you see that little white square, that's where we're actually measuring currently. Wow, that is a big drop. Second X was 182, and that's right there. Whoa, look at that, 140. Not gonna lie, guys, I didn't think this would do that much, especially, after it heat soaked. And I just drove 45 minutes, where before me getting to the shop is only 20 minutes, so there was a little discrepancy, but if anything, it should be hotter now. It's not. Pretty awesome. Third X, where is that? It's by the sensor. Okay, yeah, we're right there. We're at 123, 122. No way, we're at 168 before. And then the fourth X, where's that? I don't even remember. Here we go, right on the lid corner right there. So we're at 117, 119. 159 originally. I just had to call my editor Max to see because I thought I did one by the head and he verified it was 193. And there is an X down there. And wow, we're getting 140. Again, Max, see the red one? That's just seeking for max. That's literally the engine. So we're looking at the 145, 147, whatever. And it was at 192 before. We did do a valve cover one before, and I don't remember what that one was. Doesn't really matter. That should be exactly the same, but there you go. So these spacers actually work. This is as apples to apples as I could do. And that is a massive difference. It's not just 5 degrees and we're kind of, I don't know. That's huge. So awesome, and you get new gaskets with it. I really like it. So yeah, I will definitely put a link to those down below. We topped up the coolant for the intercooler system. It had burped during the last 40, 50 miles of driving, so that's good. And right now Jeremy is doing the rollout and setting up the dyno, making sure it's straight. You guys remember Jeremy from Satera Tuning? He owns this place and he tunes all the cars.
Yep.
And what's the game plan?
So we're gonna do a baseline pull, just make sure injector data and everything's on point. Once we do that, we'll put all the timing in it and then start doing our tests with the intakes. So right now we're gonna do the stock airbox, and then we have the AFE intake.
Right.
And then we 3D printed a velocity stack and show what that potential can do for performance as well.
The velocity stack is something I'm super interested in. We'll get into the science of that when we install it. But something else I spoke with Jeremy about was fuel economy, because that's why you buy Hellcats, right? To save gas. But I noticed that when you're cruising, this thing's at 13.6 AFR, and I was wondering if we could get it up to 14.7, because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah, so the Stoish is based on the mixture of gas and ethanol. So technically Stoish on E10 gas, which is what's in the car, is 14.18, technically. But when you're cruising, there's no load. So you really don't need to target that. And what Stoish is optimal performance and fuel economy. So if you want more fuel economy, you lean more towards the leading side and you lose performance. So if you're smart about it, there's ways to improve fuel economy, which I've done before. So we'll implement that as well.
When I drove this thing back from Utah, I got like 27 mpg. If this thing could do 30 consistently, that's like the perfect car. Because we're gonna have like, I don't know, close to 800 wheel horsepower with 30 mpg on a big 4-door sedan. Does it get any better? I'm so excited to hear the engine with the smaller pulley. And then once we get the intake, she's gonna scream. Hi. Sounded good. We got no blower whine yet though. One day. Hopefully today. How'd it feel?
Good, nice and smooth. She's got more in her, so that's good.
All right, so this was just a baseline pull, no real adjustments or anything yet. 711 to the wheels, so about a 20 horsepower increase from before. Big increase in torque though, look at that. 685 versus 647.
Good first line pull. So we got what we need, so we'll go ahead and make the adjustments and go from there.
You need that kind of torque when you're running these tires, you know, because it's hard to spin them.
You know, initially this is the first dyno pull with the injector data provided by the injector company. So this is what's called a histogram. So this is me using the injector data to cross-reference what fuel corrections were made at that given pulse width. So what this is telling me is the injector data they provided under normal driving conditions is 15% off, give or take. So what I do is I utilize that information, implement it in the tune to hopefully get those numbers closer to zero, and then we go from there. Wide open throttle, they were almost spot on, so that's good. But drivability, there was definitely room for improvement there. So like I said, no timing in it for what it was, so we're gonna put timing in, fix the fueling, and she should pick up some power now.
What kind of boost were we seeing there?
That one we saw about 14.5 pounds.
That's perfect, right, for that pulley?
The pulley should normally make 15.5, so I'm gonna guess that the airbox is choking her up a little bit.
Okay.
So I bet we'll see a little bit of improvement from that as well.
So under more stock conditions, the airbox on these things works really well. This one has the K&N air filter, which, you know, debatable whether that makes a big increase. But I think now that we're creating 5 pounds more boost than factory, this is definitely becoming a restriction. So we'll fix that right up with my shoe. Just kidding. With this air filter right here. Look at this. I've never seen one that big. It's crazy. If you guys saw the last Hellcat video, I totally messed up the threads. I installed the wrong screws here for the mass airflow sensor. My bad, I fixed it. All right, it's time for round number 2. What do you got, Hellcat engine? What do you got? Man, seriously, nothing with the stock airbox as far as the whine. You guys ever seen those memes where the guys are like revving and they're all like going in a circle with their Hellcats? It's like, what? I don't have that. But I do have that. 749 wheel horsepower. Oh my gosh. Look at this. So before stock, we did 647 foot-pounds at 4,400 RPM. Now, we're like 400 RPM earlier at 721. Dude, that is insane.
Told you should pick up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, much smoother. A little bit of blip of knockdown there, so I'll adjust the timing a little bit there, but other than that, very smooth across the board.
How are intake air temps right now?
You drove here, so we didn't let this thing cool down. We went right at it because these are going to be real world numbers. So right at the start of the pull, it's around 100 degrees in regards to air charge temps. So that's the actual air going in post intercooler. That's the one I like to look at. I'm finishing about 120, 125 degrees. Same on the first pull and the second pull, so.
That's just right in line with a stock car, basically?
That's what I would see with the temperatures of what it is in the shop with the minimal cool down time. It's about what we would see with a pulley combination like this.
So lots of mods for intake air temperature cooling, but it does seem like at wide open throttle, kind of real world situations here, as far as that goes, the temperatures are about the same as running without the spacers. So with higher intake air temperatures, the engine's computer will pull timing, so you'll see a reduction in power. That's to save the engine from detonating and blowing up. The factory Demon and Red Eye comes with an inner chiller system where it uses the air conditioning's refrigerant to cool down the coolant for the intercooler system, and you can get those kits aftermarket as well. That's probably gonna be the best modification you can do for intake air temp. On these, you can do bigger heat exchangers and pumps and all that, but I think that's like the end all be all. And something interesting to point out is we did see a massive real world decrease in the temperatures of the blower and everything with the spacers, but on the dyno, it's showing about what a stock car would show as far as IAT. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a complete synopsis of the spacers. There are a lot of benefits, but IATs on the dyno are showing to be about the same as stock. Deja vu, guys. We had a coolant leak the last time we were on this dyno. We got coolant leaks. And it was a hose right behind the bumper. It was like just clearly leaking from there. We cut it out and we fixed it, and it hasn't leaked since, and now we're leaking again. Great. So right now AFR and timing is perfect. So I think we're pretty much maxed out with this air box. It is becoming a restriction at this power level. So we're gonna swap it out for the AFE. I'm gonna get this box out of the way. It might give me a good look at what's leaking too. Should probably fix that. All right. Out with the old air filter. You've done well. Airbox, you've done awesome. 750 wheel, what is that? Like, I don't know, 850 crank or something? The factory airbox, it did that. It's hard to see, but it's leaking in there. If you guys saw the last Hellcat video, I had to take the front bumper off and I had to cut a hose that was worn out, and everything was perfect, but it's leaking again, I think, from the exact same spot. Jeremy, what do you think to, I don't know, last time it took me like 30 minutes to get the bumper off.
No, don't worry about it. We got a couple minutes, it'll be right off. And we'll even finish the dyno pulls with the bumper off just to make sure it doesn't happen again, but not 30 minutes, we got this, don't worry.
They've done a couple bumpers apparently. Honestly, that'll be the best way to figure out if this problem is fixed after we fix whatever it is to run it without the bumper on there. And because race car, it'll look cool. We pulled it off the dyno and jacked it up. This will just make it a lot easier, and we're hopefully gonna set the world record on a Hellcat front bumper. So we have Arturo helping me with the bumper. What do you think you could take it off in? How many minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 to 15.
All right. Guinness Book of World Records, here you come. The record you never knew you needed to see. I gotta say, I love the red interior that some of these Mopars come with. That's mean. And the Durango Hellcat would make a pretty awesome daily driver for the wife. I gotta take a look at how much room is back here though. We have the Escalade ESV, so we're spoiled with room behind the third rows because we actually use those all the time. We've set the stopwatch, here we go. I'm gonna work on our intake too. See who will get this done quicker, my intake or the bumper removal. It's a race against time for all of humanity. We have to swap over the mass airflow sensor into our new intake. This is what I messed up last time. I tried reusing the factory screws, not knowing that they give you new ones for this. I'm an idiot. Just remember, people, everything in life is your fault. I take full responsibility. I was just being dumb. You're 2 minutes and 37 seconds in. Come on, man. New mass airflow is going in, and you can't mess this up because it is directional. It has to line up like that. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's it. You got it. I'm stopping it.
Stop it now.
All right. 4 minutes, 45 seconds, Hellcat bumper. That is insane. Good job, guys. And I've done absolutely nothing basically for the intake, so they smoked me. All right, so last time it was leaking. I think we had to pull the crash bar actually. Yeah, last time it was leaking right there. I think that's where it's leaking this time too. It's gotta be right from here. I don't understand where though. We're hooking up the coolant pressure tester just to see exactly where it's leaking from. Oh, wow, yeah. It's only when I move it. I mean, this is tight. The hose was good. I don't get that. We clamped this off, and Arturo is pulling the clamp right now. The guys at Satera are like super perfectionists, by the way. They're cleaning the inside of the bumper. That's when you know you got a good shop, when they do little details like that.
It's not perfectly round. It's a little bit flattened out. So I can try to squeeze it and try to make it a circle again.
Yeah, I think
that's all it is.
It's got to be the aluminum, right?
Yeah,
it looks maybe a little tweaked. I mean, it was a stolen car, and it was definitely in an accident in this area, so it might have just bent that pipe a little bit. And they just never, I mean, really, if you don't beat on it, if that pump's not at full tilt, it doesn't leak at all. The pump for the coolant varies its voltage based on the throttle position. So when you go wide open throttle, it sends more pulse width to that pump, and it goes to town. All right, we're leaking a little here. So we're just plugging this up so we don't lose all the coolant. Trying to. There you go. So we're trying to bend it back. It's basically ovaled out, trying to make it round again. So what we're gonna try is a worm clamp. I think that will kind of form a little around that aluminum better. We did basically bend it back, but just to be sure. So I'm working on the intake, and I actually have to take a fender bolt out. So that's out. In the intake kit, they give you this to screw in. Let's see what this does here in a moment. We got the clamp on there, filling her back up. So that's what it looks like, traditional clamp. Those are a little bit more flexible, so it'll kind of form around the oval shape of that tube. But let's find out if it's gonna work. All right, with the system pressurized, I think we're gonna be good. Before, when I was moving, it was leaking right away. And we did make this less oval, so That's good. And with that clamp, I think we're gonna be golden. The system's not under a ton of pressure or anything, but it is flowing a lot. We'll know for sure once we go wide open throttle. I used some pliers to tighten up this isolator for the intake, and now it wants us to remove this factory grommet. I transferred this grommet from the factory box over to here and installed some weather stripping seals all around the box and some foam down there. And now this is gonna fit in like so. And it's gonna shield us of all the hot air from the engine. Now we can tighten up this 10 millimeter, and I pushed in our factory clip. This is looking good. Now we have our new elbow, which is gonna face up like that. We'll leave everything loose for now. Now we can slide this in right here into the silicone. All right, looking good, looking good. Clamps are tight, everything is connected. Mass airflow sensor, it's time for the air filter. The world's largest air filter. This thing is massive, love it. Fits in like this, looks great. And there you have it. Everything is tightened up, ready to go. I think the intake looks fantastic. And I got a dry filter. They make the ones that you can oil as well. I just really like the look of this. The white gotta match the car as well. It looks clean. Something I forgot is with their catch cans that they make here, they give you a tube that you can run down there so that you don't have to take this apart every time you wanna drain it. So basically every oil change, that will end up kind of where your drain plug is or somewhere down there where you can see it. And then all you do is open the valve and you're good. They're setting everything up on the dyno, but I just wanted to show you their CNC operation over here. They are making parts right now. This is pretty cool to see. I think these might be the valve covers. They make them in-house, so they turn out like that. That helps with the spark plug change because, you know, it takes a while. I love seeing operations like this where you have the owner of the company literally out here working just as much as everybody else. They're making everything in-house, so this takes made in the USA to a whole new level. It's 100% made here. And I partner up with a lot of shops like this. Fluid MotorUnion is one of them. They make a lot of their own stuff in-house. It's really cool to see. We're doing the rollout once more on the dyno since we had it on and off. I am thinking about wrapping this car, and now I really do like how the air filter matches the paint. That would be the weirdest reason in the world to not wrap your car. Look at how nice they made everything. There we go, run number 3. Is it gonna whine? I can already kind of hear some of it. We'll see. Hellcat sound right there. Ah, it's just like that. Nice little pickup there. We gained like 17 horsepower, 767 wheel. Torque is about the same. We're gonna start to probably see the torque level off at this point because, you know, you don't wanna stress out the engine. That will do it. What's like the max torque on some of these earlier Hellcats, you know, you wanna see?
You know, it depends on the tire, really. You know what I mean? So that everything in regards to the engine transmission can handle 900 wheel 850 torque is about where reliability is good. Beyond that, that's where they start to drop. What you have to understand is like the Demon 170, which comes with 1,025 horsepower from the factory, is the same exact transmission as what this car does. They didn't change anything in regards to hard parts. It's all tuning. So the components are there, so you got nothing to worry about at this.
Speaking of trans tuning, are you doing anything with the tune?
There's a couple hundred parameters that I do change, from shift points to line pressure, shift timing, torque management, all of that stuff. So you're introducing more power, you want to make sure that it can handle it. So something else looking at too, it looks like it with the intake swap, it picked up about a half a pound of boost. So that actually happened right here, about 5,000 RPM, where you can see the green and the blue slowly start to separate. So I didn't change anything in the tune. It's the same exact tune. All you did was throw an intake on it. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the intake itself freed up the flow to gain about a half pound of boost, and that's honestly where the power translated from, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and we did reclock this, so the valve is that way. A couple little adjustments to the tune. We'll see what she does. I can't stop smiling. Oh, I can't believe this is my car.
What did I say in the phone yesterday she was gonna make?
I'm gonna guess she's gonna make 785 to the wheels.
I think he said like 785, and we're at 782. Oh my gosh. So from 749 to 767, there was no tune change, it was just the intake. Now we made a little bit of a tune change because of the intake, and we're at 782.
Did good?
Yeah, she did real good.
Yeah, right, what was I expecting out of her, so.
Velocity stack?
Velocity stack time, let's see
do
what
it.
she does, all right?
Now we're moving our big air filter for now. and some of the tubing as well. Actually, we're just ripping the whole thing out. All right, it is time for the velocity stack. Not sure how many of you guys have seen this before, but normally when you have an intake tube and an air filter, you can only grab the air right around the inside diameter, the immediate inside diameter right before the filter. But with a velocity stack, it's rounded. This allows you to suck up the air all the way around. It decreases the resistance of the air going in, and you're able to swallow up a lot more air, more fuel, more power. And we're gonna see a difference right now. And from what I understand on naturally aspirated cars, this works well too. Now, obviously this is race car only because you can't fit a filter on it, but you know, if you had a track car and you weren't gonna run a filter anyway, this could be a great option. We're gonna see what it picks up on the Hellcat. Can it do 800 wheel with this thing? I don't know, that's asking a lot. All right, here we go, guys. Also, the mass airflow sensor on these cars isn't really a mass airflow sensor. The car only uses it for the intake air temp, so we don't actually need it right now. This is gonna rip! Are you kidding me? Here we go! Are you kidding? That was insane! Oh my gosh! Do we really need air filters? The air's clean enough, right? Well, that can't be right.
No, there's a spike from the ship. So it picked up another ½ pound of boost.
Okay.
So here, I'll fix it real quick.
I was like, what?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
It did not do 944 wheel.
Let off the gas.
Okay. I'm like, dude, I'm putting velocity stacks on everything. Yeah, we're just trimming out that little part of the graph. Oh, wow, it picked up almost 10, though. Look at that, 791. And 735 torque. Torque's right in line, so 10 horsepower. So, man, I mean, the intake's working pretty decent then.
Intake's good. We talked about it last time. The velocity stack benefit amplifies the faster you spin the blower, the more RPM you're trying to pick up, basically. So if you were to go with a lower pulley and a more aggressive upper, you see the compounded effect open up. Turbos, too, it's amazing what it does to spool up and compounding that effect as well. So it's hot, too. Imagine if we were to let it cool down, too. So the fact it picked up almost 10 horsepower while being hot, again, it gets amplified in the cool situations. So we have customers that we print those for that go to the racetrack, and they'll throw them on at the racetrack as well.
Hey, if you guys want a velocity stack, Jeremy can make you one. And they're kind of like pretty universal at the end of the day too, right?
For the Hellcats, we have for the different throttle body sizes, and then we make them for the Trackhawks, Durangos, and everything like that as well. So we're, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be releasing our actual intake line as well. So we're gonna offer filters and everything, 3D printed intake, so.
Very nice. Obviously, I'll drop a link to Satera down below. These guys are the best when it comes to all these Mopars and the Hellcats. That's literally all they do. We're done with the Hellcat on the dyno. The guys are putting the bumper back together. No leak, that's good. And here's a really nice before and after. So it did 691 stock, and we're at 782 now after all of the mods and tuning. Not bad. All right, bumper is back on. We are done with tuning right now. We should probably take it out for a ride though and make sure that it can at least merge onto the highway. You know, I'm leaving Satera right now for a little test drive. He's got the air fuel leaned up for better fuel economy. Whoa, what was that?
Little Challenger.
Challenger? All right, I got 2 low from Satera here. Woo!
Getting rowdy right off the bat, baby.
All right, hold on a second. This is, you gotta be, oh my gosh! I can't believe it actually like kind of hooks.
Yeah.
You know? Oh man.
Good Lord.
Sounds so good.
What tires you on?
Oh, I'm on no tires.
No tires. No tread left.
No
nothing.
tread. All right, so here we are cruising 14.4, 14.7, because we need that fuel economy.
Absolutely, these big V8s.
So we're putting the transmission in sport. That is what Jeremy tuned the transmission in. Track is for a road course, so we left that factory Mopar, but sport is Jeremy's trans tune. I remember when I only had 700 horsepower.
And this one right here.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll see evidence of people's trips to Mexico.
Got it.
So we are crossing the border. Look at that.
We are now in Hampshire, Mexico.
Yes, all that Mexican corn.
Oh, I see tire marks.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Weird. All right, so we're in second gear. Dude. Hellcats rip. Hellcat seriously rip.
She ain't no joke. She boogies.
This is just too good. I'm never getting out. I'm gonna go to the full service gas stations just so I don't have to get out of the car and pump my own gas. I just want to live in here. So good. Oh, this is too much fun, guys. It's controllable though. Like, it's controllable. Obviously limited slip differential on the Hellcat and all that good stuff, but like, if you've been around high horsepower rear wheel drive cars, like you can do it. You can do it. This is fun. And it's so different. Like, smoke coming in my car. Yeah, I have fast cars that are all wheel drive like my GTR, and I've had the Tesla Plaid and all that kind of stuff. But guys, this is so good. This is America. And I mean, honestly, I'm on like no tires right now. So like once we get a drag radial, oh my gosh, like if we can hook this power to the ground, we're good. But rollers kind of help. Like if we're in second gear, I mean, we're just roasting them the whole time. Oh, talk to me. Oh, jeez. 2 hands on the wheel though, for sure. And then, oh my gosh, the brakes. Like the brakes on the Hellcats, awesome, awesome. Just everything. I mean, it might have a little bit of plasticky stuff in the interior, but who cares? Who cares? This car was 25 grand, by the way, and honestly, the mods that I did to it, like, they're not that expensive. This is like your stage 1, like, basic bolt-on Hellcat. And it does that! And I mean, the trans, it's not a dual clutch or anything fancy. It's a torque converter transmission, but it's just bam, 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 wah, bam, wah, bam. It's like music. Check this out, guys. I can't wait to get a tire. And what's great is it'll take it. Like, you heard them on the horsepower limits. A lot of McLarens and like fancy cars like that, the rods are limited to like 600 foot-pounds of torque. These things will rip like 850 foot-pounds of torque to the tires with the stock engine. What else is doing that? Dodge, why did you make an EV version of this car? Why did you cancel this? Why? Just park throttle. Just seriously right now, just get that Hellcat, guys. If you've been thinking about it, just swipe the credit card, do whatever you gotta do. Hey man, thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming out too.
The car is able to merge on the highway safely now, so thank you for the additional power.
That's what it was about.
That's all we really needed here. So it's a safe vehicle to drive home, and I'm sure I'll be back for some more power.
Very soon.
Yeah.
And let us know how the fuel economy goes too. So
Thank you, I will. All right, thanks brother, appreciate it. Satera tuning, everybody. All right, I went and filled up, so we have a full tank of gas right there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm curious to what the engine power meter says now. Let's see here. I don't think I can do that test safely because the blower needs more RPM in order to spin faster and make all of its power, and I'd be going very, very fast, and I don't want to do that. But it's safe to say this car was stolen and the GPS was disconnected because it keeps giving me that message. And it's also safe to say that 700 horsepower plus is very accurate. They rate these at 707 crank horsepower, way underrated. They could have gone way higher with that. It's probably why the gauge goes to 750. And everything you guys have seen thus far in this Hellcat series is why these are one of the most beloved American muscle cars ever made. I made it back to LegitStreetCars with the Hellcat. Everything went perfect. And that will do it for this episode. So I have the Hellcat over here because I might do some more stuff to it. You guys will find out about that hopefully soon. But I hope you really enjoyed this episode, and I hope if you guys watch this channel for some of the Euro cars, that you too can appreciate why we love our American muscle. It's not all that different from the big V8 Euro cars. Honestly, it's like the same platform as the E55, very, very similar. So anyway, with that, if you guys did like the video, give it a big thumbs up, share the video with your friends and family, subscribe if for some crazy reason you haven't already. It's a free little button down there, and it really helps me out. But most importantly, have a fantastic day. I'll see all of you in the next video. I just noticed this. Look at that. You can see the air filter. So what happens when it rains? I guess you just gotta drive fast. This is one of those cars that doesn't owe you a thing. Like, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. So if the engine's computer detects an overboost situation, all right, so now we got this off of the, and every car's, and then we're gonna, so you can see there, so you can see in here where we put the socket, and something that's cool about this pulley is, something that's cool about this pulley is that it only spins one. Max, let's just find a thing online that shows like crankcase vapors flowing and doing circular flowy things. Maybe going into a catch can, something to cover up the fact that I can't talk. So man, the forced induction inner chiller, I gotta say, so these spacers, like, they really work. Like so the spacers actually work. Oh yeah, what mode am I in right now?
Yeah, let's pull that up.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was stolen.
Okay.